Hey everyone, Video Game Lover here. I talked about this in the live stream about the third Godzilla anime, but I want to do a full-fledged video about the entire trilogy. Now, here's the thing. If you Godzilla fans, I'm not talking about all of them because a lot of them hated this, but if there's some Godzilla fans that like these movies, that's fine. You know what I'm saying? That's your opinion. You can join them. There is one thing that you have to understand. These movies were a failure. You cannot deny that. You cannot deny that the anime Godzilla trilogy was a cinematic failure in every way. It failed to make a new audience. It failed to target the audience they were targeting. And they failed to deliver the goods to the Godzilla fan base. It was a failure. Now, I know I've thrashed the trilogy a lot. Especially recently, I thought that the third movie was a piece of shit. Well, let me now back it all up. When Planet of the Monsters first came out, the first entry, I let that movie slide because it was the first entry. I was like, okay, it wasn't the best film. There was a lot of exposition to no end. I mean, god dang, there was like maybe 40 minutes of exposition, and it was an 84-minute movie, and it felt like 2 hours at times. But for what it was an okay movie. Had some good action in it, especially the last 20 minutes. I actually thought that the last 20 minutes were really, really good. Haruo, however, kept me from liking it. He was not likable. I thought he was an asshole, and the characters were forgettable. But you know what? I let it slide. It was the first entry. I'll let it slide. The second film came out, City on the Edge of the Battle. And that movie completely destroyed the trilogy. And the reason for that was they bamboozled all of us. Because for many months leading up to that film, we were told that Mechagodzilla was going to be in it. We were going to probably get Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla again. I know some have been like, Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla again. I mean, that's like the 5th time they fought. But this was the first time they were fought in anime fashion. Maybe they could do some creative stuff. Well, we didn't get that. What we ended up getting was more exposition, a much longer film that was an hour and 40 minutes, horrendous pacing, barely any action till the last 15 minutes of the film, which, by the way, was recycled from the first movie, them trying to trap Godzilla and then kill him. It was just terrible in almost all areas. It didn't progress the characters, it didn't progress the story, didn't progress Godzilla, and Mechagodzilla was not even in it. He was only in it for like 4 seconds. You see, like, him messed up. That was it. They basically turned Mechagodzilla into a city. Now, rumored, one of the directors wanted the city to come alive and form the Mechagodzilla. May sound silly, but it would have been actually pretty cool. Because I'm like, holy shit, we never seen that before. A city coming alive into a monster? That's actually kind of cool. But nope. They scrapped it, and we got a plain-ass city that went nowhere. It was instantly destroyed once Godzilla showed up. Absolutely horrendous writing. Honestly, I felt that this movie was unnecessary. Because the only thing that they did was introduce the Mothra twins. That was it. And the Mothra twins tribe. I kind of forgot what the hell they're called. That was all they did. other than that, there was no reason for this movie to exist. It was just a way for them to basically garner the fan base and trick them into this film. And that's why City on the Edge of the Battle got so much backlash. It was unreal. So many people I knew said that that was one of the worst Godzilla films of all time. I wouldn't go that far. I mean, it ain't no Godzilla's Revenge, but it was definitely a pretty bad film. It was really bad. It didn't progress the story at all. Now, let's get into Planet Eater, the movie that I absolutely ripped on my live stream on Thursday. Now, there is one thing I will say. Let me talk a little bit positive, because you know what? I've been thrashed in the trilogy. Were there any positives? Well, there's a few. Especially it comes to Planet Eater. For one, Planet Eater was a major step up from the predecessor. Because, hey, we at least got kaiju action. And number two, I found it weird that they brought this guy back, Hattori. The guy that did the music for Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla and Godzilla 2000. He was the composer for the anime trilogy, which I thought was really weird that they picked him to do it. But I'll give him this. The third film was probably his best work in a while. I'll probably say since Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla. That was almost 25 years ago. That's all I can say positive about it. Now, I will give them credit. They were trying to make this more of a psychological film. Okay, if that were to happen, kind of succeeded, but not much. So, the third film, Ghidorah makes his appearance that was hinted at the end of the second film. And Ghidorah's design was so weird. He was like a noodle compared to what we normally know of Ghidorah. But Ghidorah being a ghost would have been okay if it wasn't for the fact that the fight was fucking horrendous. And I stand by that. That might have been the worst Godzilla fight of all time. Because all Ghidorah did was wrap around Godzilla. Godzilla couldn't touch him until Haru punctured Memphis' eye. And that caused Ghidorah to finally be physical for him, and Godzilla beats him. It was terrible. Now, speaking of Memphis, I haven't even talked about him. He was one of the only characters I was interested in because he was so mysterious. And I knew this dude was a bad guy. I mean, this dude he's a Zillion. The people that discovered Ghidorah. And he basically wanted Ghidorah to kill Godzilla and basically pretty much F the whole planet up. And he tried to brainwash Haru into, accepting it. And then it leads us to the religion side of things. I don't know what the hell they were thinking with this whole cult thing that they were doing. Basically, Memphis was, making this whole Ghidorah thing into a cult. Giving Haru's people soup or stew to brainwash them, and so they could be sacrificed by Ghidorah. And then we have that scene. Oh God, this scene. Now, I didn't talk about Yuko. Yuko. I forgot about her. Why? Because she was such a forgettable female protagonist. She was there as Haru's love interest, but then she was killed at the end of the second film. I don't know why she was even in the third film. She was pretty much dead in that film. So, for some reason, Haru decides, okay, Yuko's dead. Let me bang one of the Mothra twins. He has sex with one of the Mothra twins. And I'm not trying to sound SJW, okay? I hate SJWs with a passion, but sex does not belong in a Godzilla movie. You could have nudity, because there were instances that there were nudity in Godzilla. Even if it was tad brief, there was nudity. So that didn't bother me. It was just an actual sex in a Godzilla film, and it was anime. It just, oh God, it just gives more people to think that, all those anime people that think anime is hentai, tentacle porn, and things like that. People are gonna see this and like, oh no, here we go again. Sex in anime. That was terrible. But the one thing I stand by for my massive rant on Thursday was the ending. So after 3 films, Haru, who has not evolved, he's still an unlikable prick that I absolutely despised. So, years have passed. One of the Monster twins that Haru had sex with got pregnant. So, peace has been made. They decide to work together with the Monster twins tribe. But then one of Haru's pals discovers the vulture, the thing that they use to kill Godzilla or try to, hurt him. He feared that Ghidorah might return someday. So, he ends up taking Yuko, flies in the sky, says he hates Godzilla, and commits suicide. When I first saw this, I was in disbelief. And this is the number one reason I hated the anime trilogy. Haru Sakaki. He has to be one of, if not for me, the worst anime protagonist I have ever seen, period. This dude did not evolve. All he was a screaming, mentally deranged dude that makes Hiroshishigami from Inuyasha look sane. Screaming that he hates Godzilla, I want to kill that bastard, I want to kill him, and all that. For 3 movies. He hated Godzilla so much. I get why he did it, though. I know some people will be like, but he did it. I get why he did it. He did it because he felt he was an endangerment to his people. But what made this so disgusting was he left his unborn child. Like, when I first saw this, I honestly thought that I stepped into an episode of Steve Wilkos. Like, I thought I was in an episode of Steve Wilkos from my seasons 1 and 2. Like, I couldn't believe it. He left his unborn son and basically committed suicide. It was just horrendous writing. Absolutely terrible. And on to wrap this video up. The main culprit to all of this is Toho themselves. Because they wanted to make a series of Godzilla films not about kaiju fights. They wanted to do a human-based films with kaijus. And it failed miserably. And Toho, I find it funny that you threw a temper tantrum 20 years ago with Godzilla 98 because you gave Godzilla to the wrong hands. You gave it to Ronald Emmerich, who absolutely destroyed the franchise for a while. And you decide to counter back with Godzilla 2000. Well, here you are, 20 years later, 21 years later at that, you gave a Godzilla project to a director that had no idea what Godzilla was about. And 2 other knuckleheads. And you gave us one of the biggest disasters to the Godzilla franchise since Godzilla 98. It was that bad. And yes, it was a failure. It's undeniable. I mean, they promoted the first film no end. They promoted it, they made toys about it. They made Haru in a video game, which I want to burn the hell out of that video game. But then when Sitting on the Edge of Battle came out, hardly any advertisement. And I'm going to be honest with you, in the 3rd film, Netflix barely advertised it, so they knew this was a fucking disaster. And I'm going to say this right now, no one should watch these films. Even if you're a Godzilla fan, I don't recommend this. And I know some people will be like, oh, you're just hating them because they're anime. You're talking about one of the biggest anime defenders right here, dude. I watch anime a lot, and I tell you, these movies weren't good at all. And that's why the films failed. Toho and the Knuckleheads. I won't be hard on Polygon, but they should not win with Polygon. They should have went with other anime studios like Kyoto or Shad, or hell, even in some degree, Studio Mappa. Studio Mappa has been very good with animes as of late, and just now they're giving us an amazing anime known as Dororo. It was just a mismanaged project that went wrong. And what's tragic is I don't think we're ever going to get another Godzilla anime. And you know what? If that turns out like these three movies, it should never happen, period. And you know, let me be honest with you, I'm very concerned with Toho as of late. They don't know what they're doing with Godzilla. Shin Godzilla was good, but it strayed away a lot of things we know about Godzilla. How is it that the Americans, who ended up effing up Godzilla in 98, how is it that they're now giving us superior Godzilla films than what has Toho produced in the last 17 to 18 years? When you think about it, I know a lot of people like Godzilla Final Wars and all that. I honestly didn't like it. To me, the last really good Godzilla film that Toho made was Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters All Attack. And that movie came out December of 2001, almost 18 years ago. I don't know what Toho is up to right now. They're really concerning me with Godzilla as of late, and this was the prime example of that. It's funny how the director said that the Godzilla fan base don't like change or different Godzilla films. Well, they sure as hell love GMK, Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, which is funny because Ghidorah was a good guy in that movie, but yet everyone loved it. It was just terrible. It was an absolute train wreck. And if you all liked it, more power to you. I'm not going to condemn you for that, but it was such a major botch. And hopefully Toho learned from this. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. But anyway, guys, that's my thoughts of the Godzilla anime trilogy. In a nutshell, it was a complete and utter train wreck. Peace.